DDHD. What's that all about? No, it's not daring, dashing, handsome and dynamic. No, it's not about me, nor is it about my friend Liam Smith from A Shot of Wildlife. No, it's dabblers, divers, harriers and dancers. All those and more coming up in this video, which is highlights from my recent trip around Rainham Marshes RSPB Reserve in South Essex. It sits just on the north side of the Thames, just inside the M25, and I went there a couple of weeks ago, and this is highlights of what I saw there, starting with these widgeon. The widgeon is one of those duck species which seem to be just as much at home grazing on land as they are dabbling out in the water. Yes, they are one of the dabbling species. Ducks can be divided into dabblers and divers, of which more shortly. Another of our dabbling ducks, and also one of our smallest, is the teal. Here is a female dabbling while stood in shallows. And here we see both duck and drake teal afloat, doing what I like to call bottoms up dabbling. The depth to which they can successfully forage is limited by their size. Being one of our smallest ducks, the teal can only really dabble to a depth of 6 inches or so. Somewhat larger than the teal, but also a dabbler, is the pintail. Being rather larger, the pintail can dabble to a depth of about a foot. Feeding at depths much more than a foot requires a different technique: diving. Here, along with 3 drake pintail, we see a duck which does just that, a pochard. That was a drake pochard, and here we see both drake and duck. Pochard can feed to depths of around 7 or 8 feet. A nice jump dive from that drake there, and watch the surface of the water. We see the backwash from the bird's very busy underwater feet. Having shown you the wonders of both dabbling and diving ducks, let's turn our attention to some non-aquatic birds, and let's just spend a few tranquil seconds with this pied wagtail. Now for some exciting flight footage, not of pied wagtail, but I give you one marsh harrier. This one is a female. We'll see the male shortly, but the female was the showier of the pair that day. I first had a go at filming this species about 25 years ago. We were spending a week with friends boating on the Norfolk Broads, and I borrowed their analogue camcorder and filmed marsh harriers from the top of our moving boat near the northern end of Haddiscoe Cut near Rainham. You can tell this bird is a female by the dark brown wings and cream coloured head. That then was the female. Let's take a look at the male. Look carefully at the wings. Did you see that the male has a lot of grey in the wings? Let's see that footage again. I find an easy way to remember the difference between the sexes is to think of their cousin, the hen harrier. The male is famously almost all pale grey except for the black wingtips, whereas the female is a mostly brown bird except for the white rump. So similarly, in the marsh harrier, the male is the one with much more grey in the wings. Did you enjoy that footage? I was rather pleased with it myself. If you did enjoy it, then please, if you haven't already done so, do consider subscribing to the channel and or at the very least give this video a thumbs up, because it really helps my little channel. Right, back to the surface of the water now. Great crested grebes really are handsome birds, but it was nearly their downfall. In the late 19th century, they were nearly driven to extinction due to the feathers of their head plumes being a highly desired fashion item. Thankfully, in 1889, Emily Williamson created what would become the RSPB with a core aim to fight that trend. These next clips show something which I'd never previously witnessed, let alone filmed. Let's have a look. This is courtship ritual. It starts with some head waggling, then some bobbing up and down. I believe that's the male at the back with the slightly more extravagant head plumes. Then they swim apart, dive below the surface for some plant material, resurface and do this. How cool was that? Let's see that again. I just love that, a real treat to witness and film. Have you ever seen that out in the wild yourself? If so, let me know in the comments below. Our penultimate bird today is one which initially wasn't showing very well. It's a snipe, there at the back of that island. Fortunately, after a minute or so, it moved round to the side, affording better views. When they are hunkered down, having a snooze rather than active like this one, their cryptic plumage can render them almost invisible. Casting about, I spotted a second one feeding a little closer to the hide. And having a bit of a preen. Well, that was almost my last species of the day, but I've just got one more to show you, because as I was heading back up the ramp into the visitor centre, I spotted this, a long-tailed tit. I do like long-tailed tits, really quite cute birds. Well, I do hope you enjoyed the highlights of my trip around Rainham Marshes. Do join me again soon here on Naturally Curious UK. Meanwhile, as always, you stay safe, stay sane, stay curious, and keep enjoying the wonders of nature God has blessed us with. Cheerio.